Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to Sikh's 8th day of the Vaisakhi countdown celebration. Each year as Vaisakhi approaches, I, and possibly many of you, reflect on how our Sikhi has changed and grown over the year, and perhaps even some thoughts around what you had learned in the past that you might need some refreshing on. This year, I find myself very aware of how much I'm so focused on where the state of the world is, where my community is at, where my city is at. Many of us are worried about all that's happening in the world and in our personal lives. And we're feeling like we're living in a state of anxiety and that need to fix everything all the time. Perhaps even the feeling and the burden of having to do it all yourself. It's like a sense of living in chaos. Now, I was a very anxious person. As a teenager, I was even more anxious. So I think back to that time when my journey all began. I was worried about everything, about what I would do after high school, when I went to university, would I achieve my goals, the health and safety of my family, protecting them in the best way I knew how. I was also worried and felt a sense of panic at the thought of all the people in the world suffering from war, from famine, from violence. I couldn't even turn the news on at one point. I had the opportunity one summer while visiting with my grandparents to learn Kirtan from the Granthi at the local Gurdwara. I was always into music, both as a student and a major music fan. So here I went to learn Kirtan because I was in love with the musicality of it all. I'd go to the Gurdwara to learn in an empty Darbar hall, and there I found my happy place. There's something I can't explain about that beautifully sunlit big room and the sound of the Kirtan playing. Not having shared my anxiousness with anyone, no one really knew what was going on for me or how much at peace I felt there. My teacher brought me a Shabad one day and said that this was the Shabad that I was to learn and to share with the Sangat on a Sunday morning. I didn't realize it then, but 20 years of thinking back and looking at it now, I realized that this was the start of my journey in accepting and trusting that everything would work out. And as I say, I have been thinking about this for the last 20 years. So something that I've decided this year was to look into the composer as well as the rag. And this has brought me to this Shabad once again with a little bit of a different context. Every time I go back, this is a Shabad that I learned something from. And many of you may have also experienced that as well, where you've learned and interpreted a Shabad, but then depending on the part and time and point you are in your life, it takes on a completely different meaning. And so for this year, I looked more at Guru Arjan Sahib. This Shabad that was written by Guru Arjan Sahib is written in Rag Tilang. This rag evokes emotions of joy, positivity, and enthusiasm, which in itself gives me this feeling of being uplifted and calm and happy in my state of excitement. This Shabad states, Guru Arjan Sahib writes, Mehervan Sahib Mehervan, Sahib Mera Mehervan. Merciful, the one master is merciful. My master is merciful. Ji Sagal Ko Dedan. He gives his gifts to all beings. But it's the next line of the Shabad that comes back to me time and time again. Tu kahe dole praniye tud rakhega sirjanhar. Why do you waver, mortal being? The Creator shall protect you. And as I go through my life, I continue to come back to this line. Every time I'm in this worry of like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? How am I going to do this? Tu kahe dole. This constant reminder that I am not alone and that I am not the only one trying to figure all of this out. This year, I started to reflect more and more on Guru Arjan Sahib, about what his life brought to us and what he presented to all of us and what he built. So at age 18, Guru Arjan Sahib was declared the 5th sovereign in the line of Guru Nanak Sahib. At 28, he was the architect of Sri Harimandar Sahib in the city of Amritsar. At age 41, he envisioned and completed the first recension of the Guru Granth Sahib. And at age 43, with love and justice at the core, Guru Arjan Sahib was tortured to death by the Mughal Emperor for disrupting the political and religious hegemony. This is the legacy that is brought to us. And this is the reminders that I personally needed in order to continue to not worry about what I'm doing, because that protection is there, but also to continue to build and create and be a force of change. What can I do to give back? How can I help? It doesn't change what I do necessarily in terms of that need to constantly do something, but it gives it a different frame of reference and a different point at which I have taken that panic out of it, because I'm no longer worried about it. I just know that I am here to continue to be a part of change and growth and love. And so with that, I go into this next year, starting off with a fresh new thought and kind of this resurgence of how can I contribute? How can I give back? And how can I make that place that we live in a little bit better each and every year? So with that, happy Vaisakhi to all of you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.